friends. So let us begin the day with what? Om. Yes. So please shut your eyes for a brief moment. Welcome back. So, quick recap before we proceed for the day. What did we study yesterday? Tell me, brother. The person I asked. Yes, what did we study yesterday? About social groups. So, we were trying to decipher what is the subject matter of the discipline of sociology. To begin with, who coined the term sociology? Auguste Comte. In the year? Okay, 1838. And what is the component terms? The Latin term? Socius, which means? Letter, na? Which means? Companion, right? And then logos is obvious, yeah. So we study various types of social groups. One classification of social groups is as, Beti? C.H. Cooley's classification, which is what? Primary and secondary. What are primary groups? Letter. Yeah. Don't give me examples. What are primary groups? How do you define them? Letter. Yeah. Emotional attachment is there. So if I have a very strong emotional attachment with a group of fellow Hindus, is that my primary group? Yes or no? No. Sorry. What is a primary group? We need a clearer understanding, brother. It is definitionally a small sized group, very importantly. Characterized by what? They are person focused, but like characterized by intimate personal relationships, right? In contrast, secondary groups are large sized and relationships are impersonal and quite the opposite kinds, right? And then we also classify social groups as another classification, in group and out group. Who gave this classification as in group and out group? Letter, Sumner. What are in groups? Yes? Yeah, the brother in green. Yes. The individual feels a strong sense of belonging or attachment. Absolutely. So that is what we had discussed. Then we had moved on to discuss, or we said we also study various social relationships and social institutions. What are social institutions? No, these are examples. What are, or how would you explain or define social institutions, beta? Let him, Recurrent and patterned social relationships, absolutely correct. So the complex whole of recurrent and patterned social relationships are what we term as social institutions. Give me examples of social institutions. The brother in red, maroon, whatever. Yeah. Education, family, political system, absolutely. Okay? And we said we also study social processes. Fine. Then we concluded the class with Sri Comte, who had said that sociology is the study of Beti, social statics and social dynamics. What do we mean by social statics? Sorry? Those aspects of social life which are somewhat unchanging, right? Or there is continuity, how continuity is maintained in social life. And what are social dynamics? The ones that, absolutely, the changing aspects of our collective living, absolutely. So that is where we had ended. Any doubts? Any doubts, anybody from yesterday? Yes. Huh. Somebody explain that according to Ginsberg or Ginsberg guy. What is that definition? Raise your hand and speak. Yes. So what does that mean? Explain to your neighbor.
How does an individual interact with its group? Essentially,
Sorry, no, that is not the correct interpretation or understanding. Established usages, okay, recognized and established usages. Usages means the done way of doing things. The done way, how we are accustomed to doing things. So established usages means the established ways of doing things. What are the patterned ways of our collective living? Established and recognized usages governing interaction between individuals and groups. When we say interactions between individuals, for example, we discussed yesterday the example of the husband-wife interaction. Okay, how that is governed by certain established and recognized usages, that the man earns, the woman raises children, and the like. Or it could be relations between groups. Say, in our society, the relationship between upper castes and lower castes. Or in an industrial society, the relations between the capitalist class and the working class. All right? I hope it is somewhat clearer. Any other doubts, friends? I'm being asked to explain the meaning of recurrent and patterned relationships. So I outsource that. Who will take that up? Yes, please explain.
the things are getting repeated and it's not getting changed.
Absolutely. They follow a certain pattern, right? Or they are recurrent. Recurrent matlab reoccur. They are reoccurring. Like I gave you the example, the husband-wife relationship in a particular society. It is not individually decided by the two actors involved. The pattern is laid down by the society. So it is reoccurring in one house and then the other and the third and the fourth and the 10th. Huh? Yes? Yes, pretty much. Another way of saying the same thing. Huh? If you are quoting Ginsberg, then you use the words that he is kind of using somewhat. Or you don't quote him. Huh? No. His question is, can a membership group be an outgroup? The answer is no. An outgroup is necessarily the one to which an individual does not belong and holds a feeling of animosity or antipathy. Okay? Let me explain it this way further. Is an in-group necessarily a membership group? Yes or no? Think and then reply. Is an in-group necessarily a membership group? The answer is yes. An in-group is a membership group. Are all membership groups in-groups? No. That's the correct answer. No. See, a membership group is simply a group to which I belong. That's my membership group. In that group, I may be, what in colloquial terms we may say, I may be a sleeping member. In which case, I don't have any strong feelings of attachment or otherwise to it. Okay? So then, It's simply my membership group. In case I do have strong feelings of attachment to it, then it is also my in-group. It's also my in-group. So, in-groups are membership groups, but all membership groups are not in-groups. It will depend on the feeling or the sense of attachment and belongingness of the individual. Clear? Member or are क्या बोलते हैं? The non-membership groups. Are all non-membership groups out-groups? Clearly no. Like I said, say I belong to X caste, I belong to the Baniya caste. So the Brahmin caste, the Jat, the Yadavs, the Gujars, etc. These are my non-membership groups. But are these my out-groups? They may become so in case there is a caste atrocity issue involved. One caste is, pitted against the other. Right? In that case, that particular caste group will become my out group, but others are simply my non-membership groups. It's pretty simple, I hope. So we had begun with a particular example or question from here. What was that? You had asked, somebody had asked something? Chaliye, that got lost somewhere. Huh? Any other doubts? Any other doubts, anybody? A spy, okay. See, frequently it does happen that we have one membership group, but we aspire to join, or we are in love with, bluntly put, another kind of a group. For instance, you guys are currently, so there is that aspect of aspiration is always there in all societies. You guys currently are not IS officers. So the group of IS officers for you, that is your aspiration to join them. So they are something else, we call them reference group. They serve as a reference point for you. We'll be discussing that later. Those groups of which you are not a member, but which you want to join up or kind of become a member of. You aspire for them. Any doubts for the online students? Please ask. Yes? Can a membership group be an out group? The answer is no. Which you don't like. That's what you're saying. Even so, it will not be. Out groups are definitionally non-membership. In groups are definitionally membership. Okay? Chaliye, moving ahead. But before we move ahead, please note down quickly some very easy to remember definitions of sociology. Sociology, according to Comte. Who is Comte? Yes, Pitaji. Right? According to Comte, sociology is a science of social phenomena. It is the science of social phenomena. For Durkheim, he is another of the founding fathers of the discipline. For Durkheim, sociology is the study of social facts. Social facts. What do we mean by social facts? It is a particular term or concept developed by Durkheim in order to chalk out a separate subject matter of the discipline of sociology. So he is basically trying to say that the subject matter of sociology is social facts, which are different from the facts which are collected, analyzed by other subjects like psychology or philosophy or others. Okay? What is social facts in detail we'll be discussing when we come to Durkheim. Okay? Simply saying we study social things, roughly put, study social things and not psychological or other such kind of things. Okay? For Weber, For Weber, sociology is the study of social action. Social action. Who performs actions? The individuals. So Weber, beginning with Weber, we start moving towards a focus on the individual members. Okay? According to Ogburn and Nimkoff, Ogburn and these guys are amongst the founders. Okay, Comte, Durkheim were like 19th century fellows. Weber was 20th century, but still one of the important pillars of sociology. Ogburn and Nimkoff are like relatively newer guys, but respected nonetheless. Okay, according to Ogburn and Nimkoff, hello. Hari? There's a sound like. Acha. Hello? 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 It's gone now, right? Hello? According to Ogburn and Nimkoff, sociology is simply the study, the scientific study, simply the scientific study of social life. Simply the scientific study of social life.
So where are they from?
Sorry?
From where they are from?
I don't know.
Are they German or
Durkheim is French, Weber is German, Comte is French, Ogburn and Nimkoff I don't know. Huh? Chali. Now let's get going to discuss the nature of the discipline of sociology. What kind of a subject is it? That is what we are trying to now understand. And before we do that, you tell me, is society, that is our subject matter at the end of the day in sociology, is society a uniquely human affair? In other words, does this entity called society exist only amongst human beings? Or does it also exist amongst lower animals, insects, birds and the bees? Or is it uniquely a human phenomena? How many of you contend that it is uniquely a human phenomena? That society exists? You guys are in a society of your own. See, I mean, without company on this issue. Huh? How many of us consider that lower animals, non-human species also live in, if what we can at least call proto-societies or, part societies, some society type entities or groups? Please raise your hands, fuller. Okay. And you guys are absolutely on the mark when we say that. So society is not a uniquely human entity or phenomena. You do see a lot of group living amongst other species also. Elephants move about in herds. These lot of animals hunt in packs like wolves and something. You have colonies of ants. You see a very thorough division of labor in a bee colony or amongst ants, right? You even see a hierarchy of sorts in many of these species, right? You see a lot of mothering kind of behavior or nurturing of the young by across a lot of species, right? So you do see many of such, society type elements of communal or, living together, nurturing or raising a kind of a family thing, and so on and so forth, amongst many other species. having established that society does exist amongst other species as well, what is the nature of the discipline of sociology? Are we concerned with the study of only human societies, or are we also concerned with the study of the societies of these lower animals? What is your sense? How many of you think sociology studies only human societies? Raise your hands. All right, most of you. How many of you think we also study non-human societies? So you are mainly wrong. Okay? With due respect, the focus of the discipline of sociology is on the study, analysis of human societies, human relationships. तो लिखो. The discipline of sociology focuses exclusively on the study of human societies. Okay? Having which discipline studies animal societies? Presumably zoology would do that. Yeah. Now, having said that, does it mean that we give no, that animals per se, or animals and birds and all these things, are they completely out of the purview of sociology? We have no concern with their existence whatsoever. Will that be correct? A correct statement to make? Then what is the thing? Do we study them or we do not? On the one hand, you are saying that we don't concern ourselves with non-human societies. On the other, you are saying that we don't neglect the animal plant kingdom in entirety. What aspects, let me put it this way, what aspects of the animal or plant kingdom would interest a sociologist? Turn by turn. Their interaction with human beings, absolutely correct. What kind of interactions do we have with plants or animals? Any examples? Like pets, absolutely. A lot of people, now pets become integral members of the families. They are raised like babies. Many people are known to have bequeathed their will, to their pets. And it is not an alien concept. The cows or the pair of this thing, they are an integral part of many Indian families in the villages. They are given human-like names. Yes or no? So, yes, pets would interest us. What else would interest us? Sorry? Man-animal conflict. Absolutely. So, if a road is being built in Tamil Nadu or Kerala across the elephant corridor, due to which there is some sort of a conflict between the species and human beings. So it is those aspects, the interaction, as she very rightly pointed out, the interaction between man and animals. How, or what role do animals or plants play in human affairs? In many cultures, including ours, there is a lot of worship of various animals, like the cow in Hinduism. Similarly, in various cultures, some sort of sacredness is associated with various plants and animals. That would interest us greatly. So the worship of the cow would greatly interest a sociologist. Not the relationship between the cow and the bull, or a cow and a fellow cow. Are you with me? So please make note, and I am not dictating. Write on your own what we have just discussed. Since 1970s or there is a growing field of what is called as environmental sociology, in which we study. I hope you're all right. So, may I have your attention please? Since 1970s, there is a growing field of what we term as environmental sociology, in which we study the impact of human activities on the environment and how the environment affects human societies. Do our activities, human activities, affect the environment? Like global warming, pollution, we are doing X many things to the environment. And when we talk of the environment, it also includes various non-human species like plants, animals, because what we do, it also impacts their lives. So that would interest sociology or environmental sociology, right? The recent corona pandemic, the current, should I say, corona pandemic, it is alleged to have zoonotic origins. So because of consumption of bat soup, apparently, okay, this disease, so and a lot of other diseases, they have zoonotic or animal type origins. So because of consumption of certain kinds of food derived from animal sources, there are diseases which affect the human populations. That would interest a sociologist. So we are not concerned about what's happening amongst the animals per se, that is the job of the zoologist, but how the animals, plants, reptiles, what have you, how they affect human lives, how humans interpret them, sometimes as sacred, sometimes as defiling, sometimes as beasts of burden. That is what interests us, right? Secondly,
So in that case, we have a relationship with rivers and all that because
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Secondly, again you will tell me, in sociology, what is our focus? Is it studying groups and collectivities, aggregates, societies, or the individual members of it? You're getting too smart. If you have to pick one. Yes, that's more like it. So, point is, friends, broadly speaking, the discipline of sociology concerns itself with the study of groups, collectivities, aggregates. In fact, the individual is somewhat neglected, ignored in sociological analysis. The individual simply is considered as unimportant as a unit of analysis. Which discipline gives adequate importance to the individual, how he thinks? The discipline of psychology. For psychology, the individual may be the unit of analysis, but for sociology, it is the collectivities, the groups, the societies. These silent pauses are so that you can write down whatever has been discussed. Will it then be fair to say that the discipline of sociology has got nothing to do with the individual? Are we completely unconcerned about the individual? Correct. So, see how we can analyze it is thus, it's somewhat, in a chronological fashion. Okay? When the discipline of sociology first emerged, it emerged in the 19th century with the writings of the likes of Auguste Comte, Karl Marx, Durkheim. When it first emerged, it had that, big picture kind of orientation. So this thing what we have discussed, that it ignores the individual, focusing on groups and collectivities, that is quite correct for early sociology, when the discipline first emerged in the 19th century. The founding fathers, in fact, were quite clear that the individual doesn't matter as far as analysis of social life is concerned. However, as the discipline matured, there began an increasing number of scholars' perspectives which started also concerning themselves with the individual. Beginning with who? Weber, absolutely. Beginning with Weber. Now Weber was writing sometimes in the early 20th century. Around that time, there was an increasing focus. Weber was a kind of a balanced kind of a guy. He focused on the individual and also on the bigger entity. And there onwards began an increasing trend of focusing on the individual as well. So, today sociology we can divide broadly into how many? 2 camps. One is, one sec. One is macro sociology, focusing on groups and collectivities and ignoring the individual. The other is micro sociology, which focuses on, they argue that how the individual thinks, what he does, why he does it, we need to try to figure that out. Taking sociology closer to which discipline? Psychology. So micro analysis of social life basically pushes sociology increasingly in the lap of psychology. All right? Thirdly, yes, macro sociology refers to that approach in sociology which ignores the individual. They say we basically are dealing with the big picture. We want to analyze social institutions like family and religion, political system, economy, and their interlinkages. Marxist sociology is of that type. Functional sociology is of that type. Okay? Durkheim's writings, Marx's writings, they are of that type. Macro approach, the big picture approach, a bird's eye view, literally ignoring the individual. For them, the individual doesn't matter. He is simply playing his part, whatever society is telling him to do. Society as a whole is the entity to be analyzed. Micro approaches, on the other hand, they give due importance to the individual members of the society. They want to figure out, as Weber stated, we must try to figure out why the individual does what he does. What is going on inside his mind? That is what we have to figure out. Huh? Thirdly, again you will tell me, what is it that we are primarily trying to do in sociology? Are we trying to figure out how society is, or are we trying to lay down a charter of how society ought to be, or how society should be? What is our main concern? How society should be or how society is? How many of you think it is about how society is? Okay, you guys literally win hands down or hands up. Huh? How many of you think it is about how society ought to be? No one. And you guys are absolutely right on that count. The discipline of sociology is, likho, the discipline of sociology is descriptive. Descriptive meaning it describes how things are, how society is. And it is not prescriptive, meaning it does not prescribe how society should be or ought to be. It is descriptive, or it simply explains how social life is, rather than being prescriptive or prescribing. Who prescribes? The doctor prescribes. He gives you a prescription, meaning he tells you this is what you should be doing, eating this medicine or that. Right? So the job of the sociologist is not that of a social doctor, as it were. We are not here to improve the society, as it were. Right? Yes? So his question is, if the others couldn't hear, that Karl Marx talks about communism as the stage after capitalist society, industrial capitalist society. Isn't that prescriptive? That is the question. If you were to ask Karl Marx, he would say it is not a prescription. Rather, it was a scientific analysis of the goings on in human society which led him to this prediction that this is how it will be in the future. This, according to him, is not what I want should be. This is not a should, but how it will be, because of the direction in which society is moving. So if we say that sociology is a descriptive discipline, it does not prescribe. Which discipline prescribes, by the way, or is concerned with oughts, shoulds, how society should be? Philosophy. Yeah, absolutely. So philosophers do that task. ऐसा होना चाहिए, this is how things should be. Does that mean we in sociology are completely unconcerned about social ills, social problems, or not? You're right. Please appreciate there is again a twofold division in the discipline. On one hand, you have scholars or those who contend that we must confine ourselves to a detached explanation, description of how society is. We are not here to create a better society or to reform the society. That is not our job as social scientists. However, there is a growing number of academicians who contend, what use is the discipline or a body of knowledge about society which cannot help us but create a better one? Otherwise, it will become a dead discipline, literally of no utility. So our task must be to create, not only describe, but also try to fashion a better future or a better tomorrow, particularly for the which sections? The disadvantaged sections of the society. They're called as critical researchers. We should not be engaged merely in describing. Otherwise, we become purely a theoretical discipline with no real relevance for the society which we are studying. Any examples of these critical researchers you think who would champion, bringing about change proactively, working for change, not merely being content? These guys double up as activists. Sorry? Yes, these feminists, absolutely, they are amongst us. Right? They live and breathe amongst us. So a lot of feminist scholars, for instance, they contend that we shouldn't remain, satisfied by merely describing the position of women. Rather, we must proactively, from a feminist viewpoint, analyze how different social institutions are somewhat, put women in a disadvantageous position, and also suggest measures to improve upon that situation. So, feminist sociologists, a lot of black sociologists, they say we are not here to merely analyze race relations critically, but also to create a more egalitarian society. Nextly. Yes. In what? No. Pressure groups operate in a society, they are trying to achieve certain ends. What we are discussing the nature of the academic discipline of sociology. So how do academicians see this subject? That is what we are trying to say. Some see it as purely theoretical, only descriptive, describing how things are. Others say, no, we need to have a more proactive role in social life. Okay? Yes. Sorry? Yes, but I'll not use that term because most of us are not aware of it yet. Huh? But yes. Chaliye. What is the next point? What is the methodology of this discipline? If I were to write a monograph on the man-woman relationship, based on my personal experience of being a married man, I may write a, story full of pain and anguish if my marriage has been a bad marriage. I may write a romantic poem if I have been in a happy and loving marriage. Will that be sociological literature that comes out of my pen? No. Why not? I am describing how is marriage. I'll say marriage is a bed of roses and under the stars. Something very poetic. It's my personal view. So what is the sociological view? How would I, the same person, now sociologists are also married people. They also have some personal experiences, good or bad, of marriage. So how would his writings be, the same person's writings be regarded as sociological? A wider opinion. It has to be based on empirical data. Absolutely. In other words, sociological research uses which method? The scientific method. Sociology employs the scientific method and bases its conclusions on empirical evidence. It is not about the personal opinions or life experiences of the individual sociologist. Of course they have it, but they are to be kept aside. So we use the scientific method. Clear? Again, does that mean that non-scientific methods have no utility in sociological research? So you are saying that non-scientific methods cannot be used. Is that what you are suggesting? If that is what you are suggesting, that is incorrect. Increasingly, there is a tendency to use also non-scientific methods. We will be talking about research methods later in detail. But point is that, see, the founding fathers again were very clear that sociology is a scientific discipline. Sociological research has to be based on empirical data and its objective analysis. However, as the discipline matured, and beginning with who? Weber. Yes, that golden boy. Scientific methods began to be supplemented with other or non-scientific methods in sociological research. Sorry? There are non-scientific methods, but I won't be able to explain them in a short bit. We'll be discussing them at length. There's something called ethnomethodology, phenomenology, if you must know. But, this is not the stage of our understanding to discuss those. Simply suffice to say for now that non-scientific methodology also began to be employed. So in contemporary sociology, we use a mix of scientific and non-scientific methods in sociological research. All right, moving on. Tell me, friends, in sociology, what do we study? What is our focus? Is it patterns or is it unique events? All of you are quite sociologists by now. Already. Which discipline studies in unique events? Sorry? History, absolutely. History is interested in the study of unique events. The Battle of Panipat, the third one. Ibrahim Lodi and this and that guy. My history may be wrong, but but in sociology, we are not concerned so much with unique events as with identifying patterns, underlying patterns governing social life. So we try to arrive at generalizations or trying to formulate laws, as it were. Comte gave a law of 3 stages of human social evolution. Karl Marx posited, 5 different stages through which human society passes or evolves, and so on. Many people. Point is, we are more interested in studying the broad patterns through which societies pass, or what laws govern social life, rather than being interested in unique events. Does that mean blah blah? That unique events are completely out of our purview? No. You're very right when you say that. Beginning with who? Absolutely correct. Beginning with Weber. Early sociologists were quite clear that we have to identify patterns and frame laws or generalizations governing social life. But beginning with Weber, there was an equal emphasis on studying unique events.
So for example,
We will discuss when we come to it. If I give you an example right now, it won't make too much sense. No. Durkheim was trying to identify patterns of suicidal how suicide rates in a society, this thing. We'll discuss. Finally, we study various social institutions that we had discussed. We study various social institutions like family, religion, political system, economy, etc. Tell me, friends, what is our orientation as a discipline? Do we study them in isolation, or do we see and analyze them in relation to each other, their interlinkages and interdependencies? What is there to be taught then? If you guys really know already everything. That is the beauty or whatever you call of this subject. It is quite, self-evident in that sense. But you're absolutely right. We study the social institutions not in isolation. Please note it down. We study social institutions not in isolation. Instead, we explore the interdependence, the interconnectedness. We explore the interdependencies and connections between various social institutions. So when we study, say, economy, We don't study the economy in isolation. We study it in relation to religion, caste system, family, political system. Which discipline studies things in isolation? Which discipline studies the economy in isolation? These economists, narrow-minded people. Okay? They are, they don't look beyond these demand, supply and inflation and all these horrendous kind of things. Okay? So we have like a broader bird's eye view, and we particularly focus on the interconnections between various social institutions rather than seeing them in silos or isolation. That is the nature of the discipline of sociology. Now tell me, is society important? Why? Because we are studying sociology? Apart from that, we live in society. Is it important for everybody? What if a person is very antisocial, bluntly? He's very, inward looking. Many of us are presumably introverts. We don't like to socialize. Simply, we'd rather be in our rooms, all by ourselves. Most of you presumably live that way, bulk of your time. Isolated, studying in that room between books and walls. You need food to eat. Okay, so that the society will provide to you. Yes, absolutely correct. He's absolutely right there. And what about the, say the socially excluded, those which are kind of excluded by the society, like transgenders, prostitutes, those who are relegated to the fringes of the society. Is the society important for them as well? Why? Otherwise, who will exclude you? That's so heartless. They also live in a community of their own. Absolutely correct. What about the hermits, the tapasvis, the rishi munis? Don't chew gum. It distracts. That's all. I have nothing personal against you, but it distracts. So, where was I? Blame it on his gum. So, yeah, we were saying for the rishi munis, etc., is the society important? Why? They have given up on society literally. They have gone to the Himalayas. How does society matter to them? They also need what he needs. Food. Literally, they seek alms from the other members of the society. They don't work, or they are not like economically productive, but they do need food and seek alms. They have a notion of divinity or spiritual succor, where have they imbibed from? From the society. So society is clearly quite important, not from just the discipline point of view, but for every human being. Aristotle, more than 2000 years ago, who? Sri Aristotle. He had stated more than 2000 years ago that man is a social animal. He is an ancient Greek philosopher. Man is a social animal. Man necessarily, friends, lives in groups. He lives with other men. So why is this group living or living in a society important? Because it fulfills the various needs of man. It's not only him who needs food, we all do. Why single him out? Basic needs like food, shelter, physical security, sex need, the need for love, affection, belongingness, need for recognition, adulation, There's a whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs for those of you who are aware. Up to self-actualization. For self-actualization also you need the society. I can venture to say, friends, that everything that I am today, whatever I am, it is because of my society. The language that I speak, who taught me? The clothes that I wear, the foods that I eat, the thoughts that I think, the feelings that I have, the leisure activities that I enjoy, the technology that I employ. That was poetic, but it was by chance. Each and every aspect of my life, of my being, is significantly shaped, if not entirely determined, by the society. The knowledge that I possess, the number of children that I have, what is there which my society has not given to me. And when I say me, I am speaking for each and every one of us. We are all, by and large, a product of our social environment. Why do I eat dal chawal and not bat soup? Because this is what my society has taught me to. Why do I speak the languages that I do and not French or Portuguese? Because this is the social environment I have been nurtured in. Why do I wear the kind of clothes that I do? Again, so each and every aspect of my whole being is significantly determined by my social environment. Even my self-perception. Is self-perception also shaped by society? Why? Because it's what I think of me, right? So what's it got to do with you? Huh? How is it influenced by society is what I'm asking you. It's what's in my head about my own self. That's my self-perception. So what's it to you? Absolutely. So society sets the standards. So society tells me whether I am a good son or a bad son. Don't use complex words like socialized. But yeah, like we are taught by the society. Bahut dhanyawad beta. Thanks a lot. So our perception of right and wrong, good and evil, acceptable and unacceptable is determined by the social environment. Each of us, we do a lot of things about which we feel damn guilty. Why do we feel guilty? Even if we love doing those things we feel guilty about. Thanks to who? Society. And that makes us feel that, I am somewhat lacking in this respect, or I am a bad boy or a bad person in this respect. So man is a product, verily, of his social environment. Does the individual, friends, does the individual also influence the society? Or is it only like one way? That the individual is influenced or shaped by the society? Or does the individual also impact the society? You're saying because that's, the easier answer, more intuitive answer. But why do you say that? Explain it to me. How can the individual, aren't we somewhat frankly inconsequential? I'm not talking about great men like a Gandhi or a Buddha. They may leave their imprint on the society in which they live, right? So Gandhi transformed society, or possibly a Hitler did. But what about ordinary people like you and me? Do we also influence in any way the societies in which we live, or are we too sukshma, too, inconsequential? We're not talking about, great and big people. We're talking about ordinary students. Yes. So how is that changing the society? So I'm teaching you something, okay, and some of the, what I may teach, it may be like my perception or my views or my accumulated knowledge, right? Is that impacting the society? Absolutely. Please appreciate we live through social networks. So I know you guys know 100 other. So if I teach you something which impacts your thinking, then you impart it to the next 100 and then to another 100 and another. What happens? The thinking of the society as a whole changes. I may teach you, say something about gender equality or against caste-based discrimination or this or that. Yes or no? So individuals can also influence the societies in which they live, and ordinary people, not just the big men.
Our voting rights also.
Yes, our voting rights, we impact the political system, absolutely. So having established that society is important, let us now try to understand what society is. Is it important enough to study? Yes, it is. So what is it? What is society, friends? Tell me. Hello. Yeah. It's a normal English, ordinary English term. It comprises of various social institutions, that's correct. Yeah, clearer please. A network, very beautifully put, network of social relationships. Yes? You'll have to speak louder please. That's not reaching me, I'm sorry. Can somebody pass the mic to her? अब यहाँ से जाओगे तो 15 मिनट लग जाएंगे. But कोई नहीं. ठीक है. Any other inputs? What is society, friends? The web of interpersonal relationships. Group of individuals. Is it necessarily a group of people? Can an individual constitute a society? Let's put it this way. Can I say, मेरे समाज में मैं हूँ? I constitute my society. Does that sound like logically sound? Huh? So can we agree with her when she says it is necessarily a group of individuals? Okay. Yes. The one with the mic finally.
It's a web of social relationships.
Okay. Okay, it's a web of social relationships, absolutely, and that we had from somebody in the front as well. Thank you. Who share same ideology. Let's hold on and go slowly. Those who share the same ideology. So if you and I, we have differing ideology, you are Hindutvavadi and I am a commie, do we then, what do you call, we fail to, that's happening almost actually as we speak, that we are unable to live in the same society, or refuse to belong to the same society. Point is no. You don't need to be bound by the same ideology for sure. Okay?
A way of social relationship
Interacting amongst each other. There is a recurrence, patterned relationships. There is interdependence between the members of a society. Yes? Don't cross talk now, one sec. Yeah?
The group of people who feel same.
Group of people who feel same. We will discuss. He's saying it's a group of people who feel the same about anything. We'll come to that. Yes. They have certain common or shared characteristics. Like what? You're quite right there. He is saying they feel the same. Laws, rules, norms, all right. Yes? All right. So, please write down. Tell me, friends, before you write down, when we say it is a group of individuals, is it the individuals who are important or something else? What between those individuals? The relationships between those individuals. So, if you are the individual and you are in relationship with various other individuals, who are the others whom you have relationship with? Same interest. Bade matlabi? No, it's not about interest. Whom do you are an individual, you are this fellow. Okay? I as in you. So, whom do you have social relationships with? Tell me. Teachers. Friends. Who else? Say father, mother. Who else? Kinship, yeah, all relatives. Who else? Shopkeepers. One sec. It's not working. Shopkeepers. No, we won't talk about pets, we'll talk about human relationships here. Neighbors. Okay, so very specific, security guards. Okay. Various service providers, let us put it this way. Security guards, the doodh wala, various vendors. Yes? Colleagues. Modi ji. Yes? What else? Sorry? Enemies, And now we have a new concept of frenemies. It's a new social concept, very interesting. So these are the various social relationships that you engage in as an individual. The other individual, one sec. That should work. Your father, does he also have a relationship with the relatives? Shopkeeper, neighbor, whoever this is, colleagues, Modi ji, enemies, teachers and friends? Does the colleague also have a relationship with Modi ji, neighbors, shopkeepers, blah, blah and blah? It is this web of interpersonal relationships that constitutes society. So, likho. It's various people you are in relation with, the shopkeeper, the relatives, father, neighbor. Okay? So, according to MacIver, society is a web of interpersonal relationships. According to MacIver, society is a web of interpersonal relationships. That is one way of understanding society, as a web of interpersonal relationships amongst a group of people. Let's look at society another way. Through the eyes of who? One sec, yeah. Through the eyes of Comte. Comte wrote that. First write, then we will make sense of it. Comte wrote that society is like an organism. Society is like an organism possessing harmony of structure and function. Society is like an organism possessing harmony of structure and function. I was told you can do this to it, like zoom in and zoom out. How do you do that? But don't you like do this and on the screen and it expands? Like this, okay? I don't know, but I'm not able to do what I wanted to do anyways. So, Comte said society is like an organism possessing harmony of structure and function. Let us try to make sense of what is society through Comte's eyes, as is mentioned in this statement. So he is basically comparing the society to an organism. So let us first try to appreciate how there is what is the meaning of this, harmony of structure and function in an organism, and then we will also understand it in the context of a society. What is an organism? Sorry? What's an organism? Any living entity, yeah? What's so tough about it? Any living entity is an organism. Say a human being is an organism. What is the structure? What do you mean by the term structure? There are some key terms we discussed: structure and function and harmony. What do you mean by structure? In normal, don't use a far tougher word to explain a simpler word. He's saying it's physiography. Okay? What is structure? What is structure? I mean, you don't use the same word to explain that. She's saying structure of body. How does it explain it? What is structure? Turn by turn, yeah? The physical setup, okay, that is somewhat what we are trying to, yeah? The way of doing. Is structure a doing? It's a way of being rather than doing, The very well put, order of arrangement, without using the word physiography or structure for that matter. It is the, how things are arranged simply or built. That is the structure. For example, what is the structure of this pen? Tell me. If you have to explain to somebody, what is the structure of this pen? It is cylindrical. So one thing you mention in the structure is the shape. What else? Okay, so you say now, describe the structure of the pen. Okay, so I will do it for you since you refuse to. It is cylindrical. It is white in color with a white body and a black cap. It is made up of plastic. It has X length and Y radius. This is the structure of this pen. Simply it's banawat. How it is made, right? Similarly, can you identify a clear structure in an organism, say the human body? Human beings are organisms. We are all organisms. What is the structure of the human body or the human organism? Sorry? 2 legs, 2 hands, good. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, a tongue. Sorry? Asymmetrical, I don't know. But yeah, so that is all a part of the structure of the human body, the various body parts that it comprises of. We have lungs and livers and kidneys and blah blah. Yeah? Then let us try to appreciate the concept of function. Now that you've understood structure, can you identify what is the structure or the banawat of the society? Louder, please. Louder. So there is a class-based structure in many societies. In Indian society, we also have a caste-based structure, for instance. What else? So the structure of the society can be understood in these, it comprising of various What are the various parts of the society? Like you have the parts of the human body. The various social institutions. So there is family. So there will be a family structure, joint or nuclear. There will be a political system, education, and blah blah. That is the structure of the society. Right? How society is made up, simply. What is function? Now let us see in the organism, what are the various, what do you mean by the word function? Forget organism, in English. Role, use. What is the function of the pen? To write. Is that the only use to which it can be put? I can use it like to hit you with, or I can use it, just getting bored, I can do this. We do a lot like that. Yeah, this goal thing. We can use it to itch a part of our body unreachable otherwise. We can use it for a variety of purposes. Are they the functions of the pen? To itch with? Really? Would you say normal English language, yeah? Are these the functions of the pen? What is the function of the pen? Why? How is writing, one thing we do with the pen, distinguished from the other things we can do with the pen? Say, like turn by turn, yeah, raise your hand. Yes? Why do you say that? All right. So the primary purpose for which it has been made, designed, or the reason why it exists is to write. That is its function. Absolutely correct. Right? So the various parts of the organism, the human body that we were talking about, can you list out the functions of those parts? What are the functions of the eyes? To see. The nose. Not to speak. You don't speak through the nose. Huh? It is to breathe, to smell. The tongue. Taste, produce saliva, and so on and so forth. Right? All body parts, a bio person will tell you better, but they clearly have some identifiable function or functions. What they do, how they contribute to the maintenance and well-being of the organism, that is their function. Yeah? Similarly, do the various parts of the society, what we call various social institutions, do they perform some functions? What? What is the function of the family? You tell me. What function does the family perform? It, before raising them, it creates them. So there is this very important function of reproduction. If a society is to continue to exist, as he was rightly trying to say, then you need new members of the society. And there is a mechanism for that, which is the family. And of course, then there are other functions also, like raising children. Once they are born, you need to raise them, right? So the family is the institution entrusted with their care, with their nurturing, with teaching them the first things. What is the function? Hello? What is the function of the political system? Government in general. To make policies, absolutely. To maintain law and order. What is the function of the education system, where you are ruining your lives? Huh? So, yeah, impart knowledge is fine, but then how does it benefit the society? Knowledge we impart, Daima doesn't. How does it benefit the society? Use your knowledge for what? All right, so all those things. So knowledge is imparted by the education system. That knowledge basically makes you aware of your rights, thereby creating a more, say, vibrant democracy. Therein you also see a linkage between the education and the political system. You will be a more aware citizenry if you are well educated than if you are not. Now, let us go back to Comte's sentence. He says society is like an organism possessing harmony of structure and function. So we've understood, we have identified the structure, the function in both an organism and the society. Now let us see the harmony aspect of it. What do you mean by harmony? When he says there is harmony, it means, let's talk about the organism first. Can you identify harmony in the organism between its various parts? Harmony in the sense, hello, one second. Harmony in the sense, do the various parts of the organism work together? Is there an integration of sorts between them, or do they work at cross purposes? Their functioning, they perform different functions, but then there is cooperation, coordination between them in their functioning. That is what we mean by harmony. If the stomach is empty, can it satisfy its own hunger? How will the stomach's hunger be satisfied? For that, so many other parts of the body or the organism will be activated. A signal will be sent using the nervous system to the brain. The brain will then direct the eyes to locate food. The eyes will see where is food and spot an apple. Then they will report to the brain there is an apple on the table. The brain will then direct the hands to pick the apple and put it in the mouth cavity. Then the mouth cavity does its own thing, produce saliva, bite the food, blah blah, make it whatever, right? Then the esophagus transports it to the stomach. So to satisfy the hunger of the stomach, the different parts of the organism, they worked in tandem, cooperation and coordination. Yes or no? That is what we mean harmony. There is close cooperation, interdependence between the various parts. भैया पानी की बोतल और गिलास दे दीजिए. अच्छा यही है. धन्यवाद धन्यवाद. Thank you. So we have been able to appreciate the harmony which is present in an organism, right, between its various parts in their functioning. Can you similarly locate harmony in the society, between the different parts of the society? What this sentence means, like in an organism, similarly in a society, there exists harmony, or in other words, interdependence, cooperation between the different parts of the social organism or the society. In other words, family, religion, political system, education system, economy, they work in tandem. Between them there exists interdependence and cooperation. For example, if you want to, which part of the society equips you meaning its members, to perform their role effectively in the economy? Tell me logically, thinking logically, there is no sociology here. It's sorry? Banks. It is the education system. If you want to work as a lawyer, where do you acquire the knowledge and the skills? In a law college. If you want to work as a doctor, you get a degree in medicine from a medicine school, and so on and so forth. If you want to work as an accountant, you acquire the skills of accountancy in an accountancy course, and so on. So, there is a clear interlinkage between the education system and the economy. Is there an interlinkage between something, say economy and family? What? Sorry? Consumption. Family is a very important unit of consumption in our times. Right? So point is, friends, just like in an organism, there exists harmony in structure and function. Similarly, in society. Similarly, the society comprises of various parts. These different parts of the society are performing different functions. And in the performance of these functions, these parts are not working in isolation. They are interconnected and interdependent. Are we clear? Moving on. So we've analyzed society in another manner thus. Moving on. There is a word which is very intimately connected to the concept of society. Every society possesses its own what? Fill in the blank. Sorry? Absolutely correct. What do I teach then? But you're right. Every society possesses its own culture. Let us now try to appreciate this concept of culture. What's culture, friends? You tell me. It's a normal English word, yeah. Don't make it seem so difficult. Traditions are ideas and beliefs and food habits and customs. Sorry? Dress code. Huh? The way of worship. The way of living. The food that we eat. Yes? Language. You have a lot of culture like stuffed inside you. No cross-talk, please. Don't, yeah. It distracts. Thanks. Let me pose a counter question, or let me invert the question. What is not culture? It seems everything is culture. Sorry? Sorry? So, a very innocent and somehow very right sounding thing, she's saying somebody else's culture. Yes? To increase the temperature, decrease. We'll do no temperature management during the class. Yeah. Please bear with it. Yeah. Unless and until somebody falls, God forbid. Yes, I saw a hand. Yeah. The things which are natural, absolutely correct. So culture is a very broad and all-encompassing kind of a term, friends. As many of you rightly pointed out, laws and customs, religion, rituals, rites, beliefs, practices, architecture, art, custom, literature, technology, ideology, you name it, and it is part of culture. Food habits, dress code, ways of dancing, bhangla or this or that, styles of music, everything, all these things are part of culture. culture in fact seems a very, very broad and all-encompassing kind of a concept. E.B. Tyler, लिखो, श्री E.B. Tyler E.B. Tyler contends that or writes that culture is that complex whole, W-H-O-L-E, that complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, art, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities acquired by man as a part of society. So as one of you rightly pointed out, the opposite of culture, what is not culture? We say simply nature. So definitionally, culture is man-made. Culture is man-made. Can an individual have a culture? Can I say apun ka culture hai? That is my culture. Really, I can have some personal, say, beliefs, I don't know. Can I have my own culture? I do. It has to be, yes, definitionally it has to be shared. So it's not an individual thing. It is shared by the members of a society or a group. And it is passed down from one generation to the next. It is man-made, shared between the members of the society, and passed down from one generation to the next. So we distinguished culture from nature. What about the cow? Cow is part of nature or culture? So do we divide the holy cow? What do we do? Yes? Very aptly put, very correctly explained. Cow is a part of nature, but cow worship is a part of Hindu culture. Absolutely correct. So various elements of nature, human societies, cultures, they attribute certain significance. Like we in Hindu culture consider the cow to be sacred. So Gau is nature, Gau Mata is culture. Rivers are part of nature, but Ganga Maiya is part of Hindu culture. Clear? Ralph Linton writes that the culture of a society is the way of life of its members. The way of life of its members. Simply how we live. That is our culture. Tell me, friends, is Valentine's Day a part of Indian culture? Yes or no? So there are certain groups professing a certain ideology, a certain political formations who catch and bash up kids meaning young couples, right? On Valentine's Days, in parks, in malls, in wherever, or they would kind of vandalize greeting cards, shops selling Valentine's Day cards, arguing that it is not a part of our culture. Are they right? Not for what they are doing, but are they right in suggesting that Valentine's Day is not a part of our culture? How many of you agree with the statement that Valentine's Day is not a part of our culture? All Bhagavadis? Raise your hands. We adopted it. He's saying it's a part of Western culture, but something that we have adopted. After adoption, has it become a part of our culture? Then why do you say it's not a part of our culture? Point is, friends, this thinking that it's not a part of our culture, it arises from a very static notion of culture. Culture is not something that happened, or the way of living of 1,000 years back, how our ancestors used to live. Culture is how we live. So culture is dynamic. It is ever evolving. So a society may adopt certain new cultural traits from another culture. Indian society has been undergoing westernization for more than 150 odd years now, at least. And we have adopted so many of their cultural traits, including, say, the celebration of Valentine's Day. So, point is, it is becoming the part of our culture, at least for a small segment of the population. Say the middle and upper middle classes in urban areas. Yes, I saw a hand here. Yes. All right. So point is, friends, culture is not static. That is why I picked up this example. Is WhatsApp a part of culture? Yes. So it's not just about art and customs and religion and thus kind of things. Even technology, the tools and implements that we employ, they are also a part of culture. Clyde Cluckhorn. You will say who? He is more difficult to write than to pronounce. Clyde Cluckhorn, because it is like low, you want it like, okay. All right. Clyde Cluckhorn, H-O-H-N, yeah, defines culture as a design for living. Design for living. Okay? Society is a group of people. Please write down, society is a group of people in interaction with each other. In interaction with each other, comma, who typically live in a given territory, and share a common culture. Who typically live in a given territory and share a common culture. All right? So that is how we have understood society in various ways. We've understood it as a web of interpersonal relationships. We've understood it with the organic analogy, comparing it to an organism. Society is like an organism possessing harmony of structure and function. And finally, we've understood it through the lens of culture. All right? And with that, we are done for the day. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. नहीं, the clarification he is asking, the definition we have written in the last, is that attributed to Clyde Cacon? The answer is no. The sentence attributed to him is simply, culture is a design for living. Okay? I am here in case any of you have any doubts, feel free to ask.